I graduated from college with a bachelor's of science in civil engineering and a master's of science in structural engineering. I took the fundamentals of engineering exam in order to become an EIT, or an engineer in training. To become a civil PE, you need the three things. The first is simply to fill out an application and document all of the work that you've done to date for a committee to review. Next is actually accrue a certain amount of years of professional experience underneath a professional engineer, like I said earlier. In my case, I needed to accrue 4 years of experience for the state that I was working in, but there are some rules that you can change this number of years requirement. For instance, because I had a master's in structural engineering, I could actually deduct 1 year of required experience that I needed in my application. And lastly, I think we all know and all love is you need to sit and successfully pass the PE exam, or the professional engineering exam. This exam is 8 hours and it tests your knowledge of everything you've learned to date, both from school and in your professional career. After obtaining all 3 of these things, I became a professionally licensed civil engineer. To go from a licensed civil engineer to a licensed structural engineer, you need 2 things. The first, again, is to fill out an application, this time a more stringent one, where they want evidence that you've worked on projects that are more complex in nature, that are more important, things like hospitals, or just larger in scale. So more stories with more complex structural engineering elements to them. This is typically gained with more years of experience working under a licensed structural engineer. So your application, you need to have a certain amount of references that are also SEs. I'm not sure if you, by law, need a certain amount of years of additional experience. However, in my opinion, those additional years of experience pretty much are mandatory, because over the course of those years, you're working and being exposed to more structural engineering designs, concepts, calculations that just overall prepare you better when you ultimately need to take the structural engineering exams, which is the second requirement that you need. Now, back when I took it, it was still paper-based, but I was kind of like a little hybrid. You'll see why here in a second, where it involved 2 8-hour exams. The first was for gravity design, and the second was for lateral design. I successfully passed the gravity design, but did not pass the lateral design, and I was actually the last test format for paper-based. They were transitioning to computer-based like they had for the civil PE. The new format was now 4 exams, because we all love more exams, and each one I believe was like 5 hours long. And thankfully, I successfully passed both of those exams for the lateral portion of the exam. So with my gravity paper exam and my lateral computer-based exam, plus my approved application, I finally became a licensed structural engineer.